Hey, 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 my loves, badasses, and beautiful souls. This is Jasmine, also known as the Healing One. Welcome back to season 3 of our podcast. And today we have another amazing guest. We have Ashantola the Enchantress. So I am going to kick it over to her. And I'm loving the earrings, by the way, my darling. For those of you that are listening on audio, her earrings say Black Queen, and they have a gorgeous woman with a huge afro.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to kick it over to you, let you introduce yourself real quick and tell the peoples about yourself. And then we're going to dive in and have some fun and some conversation.
Sure. First, let me say thank you for having me. I'm super
Yeah.
excited to be here. I am Ashantola the Enchantress of the Enchanted Life. I am a teacher, oracle, and energy worker. I assist women of color to build a spiritual to build a spiritual foundation, helping them to ground themselves and to empower themselves in spiritual work and healing. So that's a little bit about what I do. I am the founder of the Etheric Touch Healing System. And so that is actually the certification program that we run. It is a 24-week program that is we are offering right now as a self-paced program.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here.
Yay.
Really excited. Yes.
Yes. So we had amazing conversation as always. You guys know I always start off with the guests just vibing, talking, chatting, getting our flow going before we press record. And we got into all the things. We done talked about sisterhood, dueling, healing. We done talked about all the things. So I told her once we got going, we would just dive in and see what came up, because we know that will be exactly what you guys need to hear that are tuning in. So where do you want to start? I'm going to let you choose since you're the guest. Where would you like to dive into this deep in today?
One of the things that I appreciate is like minds, like spirits, like souls. You know, it's really easy to dive into conversations with people who understand and who get it, who see you and you see. And specifically Black women. I'm a humongous advocate for Black women, humongous advocate for sisterhood and sisterhood empowerment. And so, you know, being one of the people who are following your work with the Healing One and the sexuality podcast, like all of this juiciness coming from over here, I was just like, look, I have to connect with this sister. I have to see what she's about, you know, because I saw a reflection of myself in you.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think I think that's the best place to start is in the sisterhood component. You know, one of the things that we were discussing earlier was seeing each other's power, right? And not being in competition. And for Black women, that's such an essential thing that we must overcome in the community is competition. And one of the things that I appreciate is seeing another Black woman in her power. Today I was out with my husband. We were traveling around town, and a sister friend that we began our journeys together just opened up her first botanica. Yes. I'm so excited. So I got to go and witness, and you know, she's telling me the story of how the ancestors blessed her with this place. And again, it just brings me back to the place of I can celebrate you.
Yes.
I can celebrate you as if it's me, because it is. Like, I am my sister. It's not I am my sister's keeper. It's I want for my sister as I want for myself. You know what I'm saying? And so right now what I am seeing is an influx of Black women standing in their power, creating these businesses that is helping the community. Like, we're on our jobs. And you know, they say the mother is the first teacher. I'm seeing Black women standing in their power again. I'm seeing Black women standing in that energy of being the teacher, the mother, the nurturer, nourishing the community back to life.
Yes.
And so I wanted to just applaud you for all the work that I know that you're out there doing to continue to help to grow the community, and all Black women who are doing this work. It's not an easy work. And a lot of times we feel like we are, these achievements are impossible. And then we get to the doorway of success and it's like, wow, I have made it.
Like,
yes. Celebrate. And And I also just wanted to make sure that I'm not just celebrating me, I'm celebrating us.
Yes. You know? I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. You hear me? Like we were saying, you know, before we got started, there comes a place when you start to own your power.
Yes.
There comes a place when you start to really see you. You get what I'm saying? You ground in that. And I can look back at my life before I did that. And let me preface this by saying, guys, that don't mean every day that you wake up that you're gonna feel on top of the world. Like there are days when it's just some bullshit and you be like, I'm over it. I want to get off the motherfucking ride. Okay.
Yeah, never mind.
Real talk. I'm done. I don't want it. But those days become fewer.
Yes.
And further in between. And when they do happen, you're able to bounce back a lot quicker and a lot easier. You're able to give up less and stand up more. That's what the power does. The power being your energy, your life force, your chi, your ancestral connection, divine, whatever you identify it as, that thing that keeps you going and breathes life into you. When you realize that you are it, there's no separation, right?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. There's no separation. I'm a little piece of God in this body.
Right.
I'm a piece of my ancestors in this body. So people, I'm gonna get back to what I was saying in a minute, but let me say this. When people hear me say, I am God, it's like, well, what are you? Like, what? Okay, if you think that God created you and we look at a mama and a daddy and a baby, you are the personified connection. You get what I'm saying? So I am God. I am Goddess. I am my ancestors. I am that bloodline still flowing. That don't mean you gotta like them all. That don't mean you gotta identify with them all for whoever needed to hear that. But you are a part of them. You get to pull from them to be your greatness. Access what they had. Access who they are for your greatness. And going back to the power, when you ground in that power, it gives you a place of self-esteem, a place of self-honor, a place of self-love that is unfuckwithable.
Unfuckwithable, yes.
Unfuckwithable. I can look back before I got to a place of understanding that, and I can see how, child, I was blowing like the damn wind.
Yep.
Everything hurt my feelings. Everything was offensive. Everything, I felt weak and I felt overwhelmed and I was mad all the time. You know, people were able to take advantage because I wanted so desperately to love and be accepted. You know, I wanted so desperately to be a part of something, you know. So that fueled everything. That insecurity fueled staying in relationships or friendships or in ministry or in churches or whatever it was that I was using at that moment as my drug.
Yes.
Right, to meet that need. And then now I look at that and I'm like, oh, child, how different would that journey have been had there been a me now?
Yes.
Then for me, then. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what fuels me to stand in my power. That's what fuels me even on the days when I am tired, because I have them. Lord knows I have them. But that's what keeps me going. I look back and I remember I ain't her no more. So I ain't gotta give in because I know who I am.
Yes.
You feel me? It's not a questioning, it's not a hoping. It is a knowing in the depths of the very being of my soul.
Yes. Yes.
What I want for other women that look like us. I work with everybody. I don't turn people away based on creed, culture, you know, color, etc. But there's a special place for us.
Yes.
I will ride and motherfucking die for us.
Yes, advocate.
And advocate, because sometimes that's the difference in somebody giving up.
Yes, absolutely. I was just having the same conversation with my husband about thinking about my life when I was like in my 20s and the person that I was, not knowing who I was, having this victim mentality, always everybody's always doing this to me, I'm always this, I'm always that. I just want to be accepted. And what's interesting is that the way that I live my life now is a TV show in my mind of what she was looking at 20 years ago. And
Come on, girl.
And it's crazy because I didn't connect to myself in the TV show back then. I was just amazed by what I did in that TV show. And now here we are 20 years later, and I look at myself and I'm like, no, I'm the star. I'm the main character in my show, in my movie on this stage. I'm the main character. And I did that shit, yo. I learned. I focused on myself. I did my healing work. You know, I had no idea how much, like, you know, when I began this journey, I had no idea how fulfilling it would be. And no, it's not that we don't have our challenges and our obstacles, but just like you said, Jay, like when you are working on yourself, when you are doing the healing work, when you are starting to love yourself and know yourself, those obstacles are not as tremendous. You are able to recover. And from that recovery and that rejuvenation, you are empowered by it. Yeah. And that's what I want for us. That's what I want for all of us. And so I have made it a part of my mission to help to awaken the minds and the spirits. Like most people are not even aware that they're spiritual beings having a human experience. Like most people are not aware that there's a spirit that's animating them. So the first step is to understand just that, you know, you're being animated by spirit. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, you have a purpose. Like you're purposeful here. You're an essential part of this universe. And so there's no reason for you not to shine. Shine brightly. Shine with, you know, with everything that you have. Do not dim your light. Like let it shine. It's your light that's going to help to awaken and heal somebody else, to allow them to begin their own personal journey.
I'm with you on that. And something that you said, the sun, because that's it. So I always teach everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. And for the people that, oh, that's just too woo-woo, let's go science then. If you need practical, if you need logic, let's look at science. Everything is energy. But let's go back to the sun, the very God, source, creator, the one, you know, whatever you think made the sun or created this existence is also what created you to some extent, if not all extent. That being said, baby, you are the motherfucking sun. Like, yes, shit revolves around you. You get what I'm saying? Like, yes. And that's why I was so excited when you said the star of your show, because I have a similar concept. That I operate with now. I'm it. Like you can't tell me nothing. I am it. It ends and begins with me. Because that is what empowers me to get up and understand that I'm indestructible. I am untouchable. I am unfuckwithable. That doesn't mean that I'm above reproach and I can just be out there fucking with people doing all manner of craziness. No, that means that as long as I operate in integrity, and as long as I operate in morality of what makes sense for me, and I operate in a sense of I want to honor that which created me, I'm gonna do it. And as long as I'm doing it, I'm protected, I'm safe, I am life. So I need to get out there and be living. I can't be in my bed scared to get up and go do something, scared to get my feelings hurt, or scared I'm gonna piss this person off. Because tell me what you think on this. I've seen this a lot in the spiritual culture recently and the healing culture, especially with this call out stuff. People are scared. And so they come to me and they say, well, you know, Jasmine J, I don't know about this because I saw this person and they was talking about they gonna hex and they gonna curse and they gonna do that. I'm like, baby, go live your fuck them people. First of all, go live your life. They asses couldn't hex a fucking paper bag, most likely, because the people that are really doing that kind of work ain't on Facebook talking about it. Let's just be clear. They may promote services, but they not constantly telling you who they doing and what they're doing. They live their life and they do what they do. And if they're operating in integrity, you ain't got to worry about them nowhere, because if you ain't fucking with them, they not finna fuck with you. And lastly, If they're not operating in the integrity, as long as you good with your angels and your ancestors and your people, some smoke may hit you, but baby, the fire will never consume you because they got you. And then people that plot will get dealt with. And so that's why I tell people, own your power. Because when you ground in it, when you know who you are and you're secure in it, you get out there and you live, you thrive, you do what you're here to do without fear.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, that's a great point. So the call out was crazy. It was crazy. I did not expect for it to be as tremendous as it was. Thanks to an astrologer, my astrologer friend, I knew something was coming. I could not have imagined that's what it was. And people were very scared. Some of my students were scared. You know, some of my students were disheartened. And it's really sad. Like, it hurt my feelings to watch people like really retracting from what they were learning because of the character of their teachers.
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the things is that I am a firm component of you standing in your own power. And the issue that the majority of us don't understand is that we have an entourage of ancestors. There's not just like one or two. There's an entourage of ancestors waiting for you to understand who you are and understand who they are, so they can activate and help you, and you can activate and help them. It's an interdependent relationship. And as a baseline for what we teach, there's two main components. One, yourself. Nothing outside of yourself. It's an internal love affair that we're dealing with. It's nothing external. The second is your ancestors. Period. And so, you know, I'm not with the hexing, the freeze up. Like, I don't even entertain those kind of clientele because I don't feel that I need it, because of the work that I do with my ancestors, because of the work that I do for myself. And for me personally, I firmly believe that if you know who you are and you are doing the work, like many people want these microwave initiations. You want microwave results, and that's not the way it works. There are ways that spirit will initiate you that a human can never.
Can we pause right there for just a minute? Because see, first of all, okay, I have no problem with initiation.
I love it. I understand the need.
Yeah, especially with like ATRs, you know, even ministry. I'm all for it. If that's what is calling to you, do that. But my issue came in when I started to see people say, well, I can't do that because I'm not initiated. Wait, first of all, did you talk to what you believe in? Like, if you rock it with your ancestors, your angels, your God, goddess source, your connection, whether it's Jesus, the Holy Spirit, you know, whether you're Hindu, whatever you are you talking directly? Because if you're talking directly, if you're opening that communication, now if your people telling you, no, that's not your path, or don't do that, or find this person to govern you, or make do that. But if they're calling you into something, how dare you say, I don't have a human to teach me, so I can't learn it? No, baby, sometimes it's direct connection. Sometimes it's divine intervention.
And there's no disrespect to ATRs. I love ATRs. No. I'm a student of ATR. I'm a student of E5. So I definitely understand. One of the things that was really concerning to me was that people were coming into ATRs in the same ways that we have been programmed to come into Christianity. And so you're still looking for a savior. And so you're going to people expecting them to save you, and then are really upset when other things happen. Not to say that you deserve it. Not to say, like, it's still shame on you as the teacher. It's still the integrity of your teacher, the character of your teacher, and the lineage they come from. Like, there's things that you need to know about as you move through these ATR systems. And the majority of people are jumping from Christianity right into these things. And that's how they're getting in these situations. And so one of the things that I have been, I don't want to say attempting, because that's what I do, through the Etheric Touch system, is giving you that foundation. Like, get your foundation first before you start relying on things. So then, because what happens is when you're interacting with your ancestors, it's just like mom and dad. They teach you stuff at the house to prepare you for the world. The ancestors are teaching you stuff at the house about the spiritual realm that is helping you to understand these larger forces. It's important, it's essential that you know these things as your foundation first before running off. Don't get yourself mixed up in somebody saving you, because nobody is coming to save you. You're only here to save yourself. And that's true power.
It's a post I saw, was it yesterday? Day before, something like, and I kind of was like, okay, yeah, let me keep going. So I disregarded it, but it comes back up to my mind now, and I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it was a woman, and I'm assuming she was a part of the ATL, but I'm not sure. But she was basically cracking on people and making fun of, so y'all really out here calling yourselves spiritual, and you don't know the difference between this, and she started listing these specific things. And I said, okay, so I went into the comments, just curious, being nosy. What is people really saying on here? It was interesting to me how many people jumped on her bandwagon and was instantly saying, yeah, girl, you right, because they don't even know this. And I'm like, but do you know it? Like, okay, it's fine for us to joke on Facebook and be an expert on social media, because everybody is, everybody's an expert on their profile. That it is what it is. But do you really know, like, you're holding them accountable? Do you know everything about every spiritual system in the world? Not possible.
Right.
There's not possible. So why would you think that because this person doesn't know this, because that's what you chose to study and be an expert in, that they're not an expert because they don't know that may not be their chosen path, and that may not be what the people that need them have need of.
Correct.
And it was really interesting to me that they really thought that was the deciding factor. And some 7 spiritual laws of this and hermetic laws of that, like she listed like 4 or 5 different things. And I was just really curious, and I wanted to ask her, and then Spirit was like, leave that alone, go about your business. So I jumped out the comments and went going. But
there's so many things that I leave alone on Facebook, on social media. I just leave it alone because it takes too much energy and I don't have it. But what I will say is this, in my opinion, when I think about ATRs, I start thinking about the mystery school systems, of the ancients, right? And there were certain protocols that had to be understood in order for you to do certain things. And that came in time.
Absolutely.
But that was also based off of how spirit leads you. So just because some people are drawn to Ifa or Vuzun or Candomblé or whatever, that doesn't mean that we all were. There's so many different African tribes. There's so many different nations of Africa. We think about Africa as being like this United States of Africa. No, there are tiny countries throughout the whole thing, which means there's tiny tribes throughout the whole thing. And each of those tribes had their own protocols. Sometimes what ends up happening, what you'll see as you begin to develop, is that we already have certain ways about us that were handed down in our DNA from our ancestors that we don't recognize as our magic, that does not have to be taught. I don't feel that. Now, again, I am a student of Ifa and I have much respect for it. I am so thankful to be in that space of being able to learn, but I also, I understand that it's just adding on to my treasure chest because I'm powerful in my own right, on my own behalf. I can interpret the messages of spirit by myself. Yes, there are things that I still need to have developed. There are skills that I still will get as I continue to grow, and that's everybody.
Exactly.
But we should have more compassion for people's paths, for people's journeys. We're not at the same location, nor should we be. Everybody is perfect in their imperfections. Everybody. And so just because someone may not be doing their spiritual work the way you're doing your spiritual work does not mean theirs is wrong or yours is wrong. Exactly. There's too many pathways to God.
And that's where I was going. Now, I think when we were first referencing the call out culture, and we don't have to say a name, but I think we were probably talking about the same person. And I'll ask you later, but something, because I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. But something struck me in that when I was watching that play out. I think a lot of that happened because people didn't trust themselves.
Yes.
And the reason I say that is because I know when I was in church, when I was in ministry, a lot of my trauma happened because I ignored the inner wisdom, and I would do whatever they were telling me. Well, you got to dress this way because this is what's becoming of a person, you know, that we're grooming. Well, you can't cut your hair like that. No, you can't put all that color. No, you can't wear open-toed shoes. Or no, you got to do this and you got to talk like this. And I'll never forget my final straw. I was the adult Sunday school teacher at that time. And this particular weekend, I had a migraine. Like I felt horrible.
Yeah.
And I had it for days, just struggling. But I was so committed. You know, I still showed up that Sunday, still taught the lesson. And right after it was over, it's interesting because the pastor wasn't there at that moment. But right after it was over, so many people came up to me and said, "Thank you for that." And I don't even remember what passage it was. It's crazy. But so many people came up and said, "Thank you for that," because I literally have never heard it taught like that. But you gave me something today. And that particular day, I had put the book down and I said, "I'm going to teach it the way you give it to me today." I got a little bold because the pastor wasn't there, but she had already told me to do that, right?
Yes.
But when she was there looking at me, I would always be like, I can't, you know. But that day,
I got a little freedom now.
Yeah, I got a little freedom now. And that day, I finally said, I'm going to do what she told me to do, and I'm going to listen. So I put the book down and I taught. But this one lady, my mentor, came up to me and said, "How dare you?" I said, "Huh? That ain't what that book said, the Sunday, you know, the teaching book." I said, "But that's not how God told me to break it down. He told me to say what I said, and clearly that's what needed to be said because I don't care." So we had it out, and when the pastor came, I told her what was going on. She said, "Wait a minute. If that's what you heard, then that's what you teach. The book can be a guide, but this is always more important." That was my final, because while I was waiting on her to get there, I sat in the back of the church. And I heard a voice say, "Get up and get out."
Wow.
And at first I was like, "Wait, am I hearing a demon? What's going on?" You know, I was freaking out, like, what's happening right now? Because I had never heard God talk to me like that. It was it was a bass in the, like, get out now.
Yes. Okay.
So the pastor got there. I explained to her what was going on. And she said, "Okay, I'm going to handle it." I went back and I sat in the back. God said, "Get your stuff and leave." And at first I thought I had done something wrong. So I literally broke down in tears. I'm grabbing my stuff. I get in my truck. I'm driving down the highway. And I was so tearful. I had to pull over on the side of the road because I couldn't see. I was crying so hard. And I called a friend of mine, my best friend at the time. He was a Muslim guy. I called him. Another friend in the group happened to be Muslim. And then one of my girlfriends was a Christian. I called them and I said, "I need you. I don't even know what I need, but I need you." And he said, "Come over now. We finna go rent a hotel room and we finna go get in the pool." So I went and met them. We all packed a bag, got some swimmer, went and grabbed a hotel room. He said, "Get in the pool." And I'm thinking, now what the hell this guy? I told you my feelings damn hurt. I don't want to put on no damn bathing suit. And he said, "Listen, get in the pool." I got in the pool. He said, "Jump in the deep end, go all the way to the bottom and sit." I thought he was crazy. I'm like, "Now you finna drown me? What you trying to do?" You know? So he said, "Sit till you can't hold your breath anymore and come back up." And I did that. And I think he had me do that like 3, 4, 5 times.
Good gracious. Sit
till you can't hold your breath anymore and come back up. And I take a deep breath and go back down. And once I had got tired, I said, "I can't hold my breath no more. What's the point?" He said, "Do you hear anything now?" "No." He said, "Now you can listen." He was forcing me to fatigue myself enough to drown out everything else, to where all I could hear was spirit. Yes. And that was in 2000. 2007, that literally started my transition to leave church and leave ministry. And they had nothing to do with it. I needed to have been on that path before that moment, but that's what it took. Me being offended, you know, that day in church, that's what it took for God to get through, for my ancestors to get through. And that's what really allowed me to see, when I look back now, I can see all the things that I did or were doing or didn't do because I didn't trust myself.
Yes.
And if I couldn't trust me, I couldn't trust this. So that meant I trusted everybody else. Excuse me. And that got me a lot of heartache, a lot of tears, a lot of pain. And so when I saw the call out happening and I was reading my heart hurt for those people. I was so heartbroken because I was reading the trauma they had gone through. And I said, and I could hear it. I could see in the stories they were telling you, baby, you didn't trust yourself, because I remembered me. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where I was going when I said, I respect ATR. It's not my path, but I respect it. I got friends in it, and I reverence it like anything else. But whenever I hear somebody say, well, I got to do this because, okay, well, what did your source say? What did your inner self, what did your oversoul, your higher self say? What did your ancestors say? Did you ask your angels? I started asking questions because I want to know what's prompting you to do this. Is somebody else saying you got to, or are you checking in to make sure this is what you should be doing for your best good and to do whatever is serving the purpose of you being here?
And see, that's one of the things that I just want to touch on really, really quickly about when we are searching for teachers. Yeah. Okay. When we are searching for teachers, like, I've been very, very blessed. My godmother is amazing. Her character, her family's character is outstanding. I'm very thankful to be with her. But one of the things that I have learned is, if they're telling you to not listen to your own, if they're not directing you to your own people, you should run. Even in ATRs, if it does not resonate with your Ori, then you do not pay attention to those aspects of the reading. There are things that we should know. There's, like, for instance, and of course, like, I don't have any problem with the way anybody lives their life, right? Yeah. If an Ifa reading comes down to me and says, I can't mess with girls anymore, well, that's not for me, because I don't mess with girls. So why would I have to worry about following that piece of advice? Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if it does not resonate, if it doesn't resonate with the Ori, then it's not, you can bypass that. Yeah. If your ancestors, if they're not telling you to go and speak to your ancestors, your own personal lineage, run. If they are keeping you in a position that is not of empowerment to you, if they are putting you in a position that is keeping you relying on them and what they can do for you, then that is an indication that you should not be there, because your teachers are here to empower you. That's what they're here for. And so it would be my suggestion to start to know yourself, learn meditation, understand the importance of the breath, learn about sound harmonics and Qigong and yoga and Tai Chi, learn about energy, what energy is. Did you know energy cannot be destroyed? It can only be transformed. What does that tell you about who you are as an energetic being outside of the flesh? You know what I'm saying? If you don't have, if you're just starting out, start working with your immediate ancestors, the ones that you know have, like, were here and loved you here. If they loved you here, they love you there as well, and they're waiting for you to have conversations. I'm not talking about, David the child molester. I'm not talking about his nasty ass. He can stay wherever the fuck he at. But I'm talking about grandma who loved you, who cooked for you, big mama at, you know what I'm saying, who made soul foods, granddaddy or whatever. I'm talking about them. Start small, start with them and build that relationship with them. And I guarantee they're going to lead you on a path. They're going to guide you on the path that is perfect for you, so that you will not be taken advantage of. And as you are starting to understand the spiritual realm, that empowers you. And then you start to learn to trust your own intuition. And then if you decide that you want to move in a certain direction, that's any of them, Hindu, Buddhism, Ifa, whatever your forte is. Or if you're just a universalist. Yeah. Or if you're just a universalist, you still have a foundation, though, that will help you and that will guide you. And that's what's most important.
It's funny because I remember years ago, I desperately I wanted to humble myself under somebody's leadership.
We
And
all
it
want to
was,
do.
yeah, I wanted to make up for what I didn't get from my mom. I was trying to make up for what I didn't get from my family or from my dad. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be taught because I knew that there was something that I wasn't grasping. I knew that there was something in me that I needed to see, that there was something out there I needed to understand. And I just remember being desperate, like, God, please, if you're listening to me, send somebody to help me. And the answer was always no. I would get so upset, like pissed off at the world because I couldn't understand. I'm asking for help. Why you telling me no? And it took me a long time to understand there were things that my ancestors, that my people needed to give me directly, that might have been corrupted, that were sometimes corrupted or diluted, especially when I was in ministry. And so then I had to go back and relearn things and purge a lot out and make space to learn more. I had to retrain my mind, my spirit, to be open to receive. And now I look back and I'm like,
I get
I get
it.
I get it because they needed that connection. They needed to minister to me, to mentor to me, to love on me, to pour into me and set the foundation so that there will be some unshakable things. And then from there, other people can share, can teach. And I said this the other day. I was talking to a girlfriend. I said, I love how spirit will have me doing random stuff. I could be in the middle of a ritual and they'd be like, grab that, put that in there, add that. And I'm like, but okay. And I'm just doing. And then I'll say, well, let me go ahead and research, because I don't stop and research it in the middle. I say, I'm trusting. Let me do this. There's a reason. And then when I'm done dressing my candle, doing my ritual, prayer, meditation, whatever it is, I'll go research. And then all the things that they were telling me or that were lining up with the intention is what that herb was, or that oil or that crystal or whatever whatever the prayer they have me to speak, the words they have me to use. And I say, okay, I hear y'all, I see y'all. And that's been my path. And it's interesting because that's the type of clientele I attract. And I've got clients that are in Ifa, I've got clients that are in Vadu, Voodoo, Hoodoo, Hindu, Buddhist, Methodist, Catholic, Episcopalian. I've got clients from everything.
Yes.
And they always come to me because they say, there's something in you that I need, I don't know what it is yet. I need to work with you. And typically it's the freedom.
It's always the freedom.
It's the freedom. Let's take what you're doing. Your path is your path and it's right for you. But let's take what you're doing and add your freedom to it, because you don't have to be bound up. You're not in a cage with this. You're not bound in shackles to only do it this. Just because your person does it this way, your ancestors may remix it and have you do it a different way. I'll never forget, just as an example, I have a lot of hoodoo clients. And I was doing hoodoo long before I ever knew what it was. I just knew this, what my angel said do. Okay, I love to mix herbs. Okay, I love candles. Okay, I love fire. Oh, I can do my prayers that way. Okay. And so when hoodoo became this thing that all of a sudden was in my stratosphere, oh, that's what y'all been having me doing? Oh, okay. I had no clue I was talking to my ancestors. I'd always just called them angels. And so when I started hearing this word, I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's what they call y'all. I'm with that. And so it was funny how I have a lot of hoodoo clients come to me and they say, Jasmine, help me figure out what this block is I'm getting. I'm doing this, I'm doing it. Well, tell me about your rituals. How do you go about this? Let's break it down. Let's look at the energy. Let's look at the patterns. Let's see some things. Let's use a road opener, for example. Well, I do it this way, this way, this way, this way, da, 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 da. Have you ever veered from that? Well, no. Okay. Tell you what, do it this way instead. And I completely, and I'm like, what? And I give them, do it this way instead, and come back and talk to me. And they're like, oh my God. Because yes, wisdom is passed down. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be listening to the wisdom. Wisdom comes for a reason, because it's tried and true most times, right? But that doesn't mean that your wisdom doesn't turn it slightly and personalize it for you to best implement it for your needs or the needs of the people that you're helping or working with or whatever you're doing, your purpose, right? So using the road opener as an example, most of my hoodoo people come and say, well, I do my road opener by itself, and then I do my blockbuster, and then I do my protection, and I have to use this color candle. I said, oh. Do a road opener, blockbuster, protection together with one white candle and come back and tell me how it goes. I can't do that. Oh, okay. And then they go play with it and they come back, girl, let me tell you what happened. I know. You gotta be willing. You all out there, you gotta be willing to fall on your face. You gotta be willing to experiment. You gotta be willing to look crazy. You gotta be willing to be adventurous, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your safe space, because that's where your growth is. That's where your healing, that's where your learning is.
Yes.
You know?
So much of it is, I think it's because of our programming. Like when we go to school and they program us, it's not really learning, it's regurgitation.
That's it.
You know? And so then we come into spirituality and we want to regurgitate. You know what I'm saying? I was told that it has to be A, B, C, D, and E. And we get scared to try other things because in school we had to do A, B, C, D, and E. And so much of the work, and again, I agree with you, there is wisdom in our forefathers. There have been tried and true ways of being and doing. Yes, absolutely. And we give honor and respect. Your people also have their own vibration, though. You have your own vibration. One of the things that is very important for me, whether we're talking spirituality or we're talking about wild womanhood, your wild woman does not have to look like mine. Your spiritual work does not have to look like mine. Your energy work will not look like mine. I guarantee it, because I do it completely different than most people have ever seen. You know what I'm saying? And it's not supposed to be. Your intuition, we can look at the same card and get a completely different message from the card, because your intuition will pick up something that mine won't. And that does not make you wrong. And so much of, in my opinion, so much of being a spiritual person is about being open to freedom. It's about liberation. Like, this is not supposed to oppress and suppress you. It's supposed to awaken and enliven you. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to make you passionate about your life and the life around you, and Mother Nature and the universe. Like, that's what these different things are here for. And so if it feels like, dragging your feet in the ground, which I have done, and they kick my ass for doing it. Okay, my own personal people.
Yes.
my folk kick my ass for dragging my feet. But if it feels like I have to do A, B, C, D, and E in A, B, C, D order, stop and really tune into what it is what's your intention? What is your intention? Your intention, you can have I remember a lecturer, Bobby Himman, had made a video, this is years ago, and he said you could have a Coca-Cola and drink this Coca-Cola and it could be like water to your body, because that's the energy you put into that Coke. You know what I'm saying? Not to say to be trying to do that shit, but you had an opportunity. You can make wine and, water into wine. Like, you have that, like, you have the ability to do whatever you want to do if you believe, if you know this about yourself. And the problem is that we don't know ourselves. So then other people can take advantage because we don't know ourselves.
That's a whole
the foundation
sermon
always comes back to you.
Yeah, that's a whole sermon right there. Like, know thyself, heal thyself, be thyself.
Yes.
Because absolutely. When you come from that space, healing. Like, all of that equals healing. And when you heal from the inside out, I tell people all the time, healing for me is life. It is not just a broken limb or because I sprained my ankle. It's being. It's in my breathing. It's in my thinking. It's in my speaking. It's in my finances. It's in everything that I am, everything that I do. It shows up in order to help me thrive. It is me. I am it. It's not a far away thing. It is the energy that cultivates me and creates me.
Yes.
That's why our lungs pump air. That's why our hearts beat and circulate blood and oxygen, And, for me, that's my desire. That's the stage I stand on and the microphone I scream into, if you will. Like I'm screaming about healing all the time because I want people to understand, like, especially because I have a lot of people that are Christian that'll come to me with so much hurt, and they, they leave, and I get that. Been there, done that. They leave. I think the struggle comes in because then we feel like we got to leave everything behind. But there's a lot that you learned in that journey that's still powerful and useful for you. And you can mix it in and intertwine it and integrate it into whatever your new path is to make it work for you.
Yes.
So, and I think I've seen that a lot, and you could tell me, what you've noticed, but I've seen that a lot in Black people that are coming into ATRs. They leave Christianity and they think they got to leave everything behind. And then people that are already entrenched in the ATR, they ridicule, girl, that's Christian. Leave that white folks stuff alone, and leave that whatever alone. And, this, that, and other. And I'm like, well, that may be what they had to do. They may need it to have leave it alone. But if that is not what's nourishing you, figure out what you need to keep going. Figure out what you got to integrate and what you got to mesh together and what you got to cultivate in order for you to thrive. Again, like we've both been saying, no one's journey is exactly the same.
It's not. One of the things that I feel like, should be said is that when I think about Christianity specifically, I think about elementary school. The elementary school of spirituality. And there's nothing wrong with that. We needed to understand our alphabets. We needed to understand our numbers. We needed to understand how to add and subtract and multiply and divide way before we got into geometry and algebra.
Yes. You
know what I'm saying? And so I feel like so many things that we want in our society is so microwaved, so fast food. You know what I'm saying? And so, no, it's not about leaving certain things behind. You know what I'm saying? It's about taking what you need when you need it. Okay, I don't need fractions every day of my life. I hardly ever use Roman numerals. You know what I'm saying? But I had to learn those things. And so if it applies now, like if I'm going to make a tarot deck, well, look, I understand Roman numerals. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can, everything is about, the elders are a correlation of things they learned and experiences they had that offered them the wisdom that they sit in. It was a correlation. It wasn't, there are going to be things that you let go. That's part of all processes. Every cycle you go through a release cycle. You go through a small death. Every cycle. There are things that you're going to discard, but there are also things that you're going to continue to take with you.
Yes.
And so I feel like one of the things that we should all be striving for is a more holistic perspective on life in general. Like you said, it's not that it's crazy, right? I have seen people be like, everything ain't spiritual. Yes, it is. What do you mean? How do you say that? Are you not a spiritual being having a human experience? So how isn't everything? Matter of fact, truth be told, you didn't even really know about your spirit up until last week. You know what I'm saying? Whenever that was. But you've been hanging out in that physical since you got here. So how? Like, no, I'm not saying that you got to read on everything, even though as time progresses, you learn how to read on everything, whether you have cards, bones, shells, whatever, it becomes part of who you are, like you were saying. But it becomes part of your lifestyle. It becomes part of every waking moment. You are part of, like, it's hard for me to separate. It's hard for me to separate. You don't want to know why? Because when I'm acting butt booty ass wow, that's my spirit too. Okay? My spirit lets me act wild and crazy. You know what I'm saying? Ridiculous at times. Angry when I need to be explosive. That's my spirit too. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to, it's not no separation, it's an integration.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, when it comes to, as you continue on your journey, one of the things that I offer to my students is be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself as you would with somebody else. We tend to be more gentle with others than we are with ourselves. We are our worst critics. Be gentle with yourself. It'll be okay. Everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. You are walking in your purpose and your destiny, even when you're not even aware of it.
You better say that again. Come on now.
You know, and that's true. That's real. When you focus on yourself, you are in tune with your purpose. You are in tune with your destiny. And it is amazing, Jay. It is amazing how everything, like you were just saying, I'll add this and I'll add that. Let me just tell you a story real quick.
Yes,
so
please.
I knew I need to, I had to go down to South Carolina to visit my grandmother's cemetery this last weekend. So we go down there, we spent a really good time. It's a really an amazing place because the majority of the people on the land are my physical ancestors, right?
Okay.
And so, you know, we spent some time out there, and as we were leaving, we passed this historic site, right? The historic site is 2 miles from my people's house. My people's cemetery. So we stopped. I'm like, I gotta stop. It's this beautiful. This was not beautiful, but this old house sitting there, and I'm like, I just gotta see what this is about. So I get out, and the historic site is a Revolutionary War historic site. And this house that I saw had a pillory. Do you know what a pillory is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So for those that may not know, it's that thing that they put the head in with the arms, and they just leave you there hanging, and they will torture you while you just sit there and hang. Mm-hmm. It was sitting right outside the house. So we was like, the fuck is this? Like, you know, now I'm offended. Right. We're 2 miles down the road from my people. And what is this doing here? So we walk the land, we find out that, this was a monument to the Revolutionary War. But then what we also found out was that the Cherokee Indians, this was their main marketplace since 9000 BC.
Wow.
And so and understand, like, none of this occurs to us at the time. So now we see this pillory, we like automatically, we're resurrecting the ancestors. You are released, you are free now. You know what I'm saying? You are out of purgatory. You know, let's go ahead and let's resurrect the energy of the ancient ones. And we walk now the path there is 2 miles long too. We walk this path from this house with the pillory in it to, the barricades and all of this artillery shit into this wooded area, and walk right past the Native Americans. Wow. to end the journey, right? Come to find out, sis, we walked the wrong way. Like, we walked backwards, the reverse. Oh, wow. Way. So you're supposed to start with the Native American and ends up at the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
But we started at the Revolutionary War and ended up at the Native Americans, and understanding that we're resurrecting them and we're releasing them and we're healing them in the process. But we didn't know any of that to start. That's the way spirit works. Mm-hmm. That's the way the ancestors, that wasn't intentional. That's how we fell into some shit that the ancestors needed and wanted us and guided us through. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like, we be looking, I feel like sometimes we be looking for like Harry Potter ass shit to happen. You know what
I so felt you on that. Like, God damn it.
This Harry Potter ass shit. Yes. But magic happens everywhere. Like, life is enchanted as a motherfucker, yo. Like, you can find magic any and everywhere. And it's not that you have to purposefully be going out searching for it. But if you're aware, when you're aware, then you can start to learn. And then over time, spirit will start to reveal to you how, y'all didn't know that we were guiding you to do that. Y'all just thought y'all was just gonna be walking and shit.
Come on now.
That's the way they work.
I'm so tickled because that's how they do. Like, you'll be just doing some random ass shit, and then you look back like, oh snap, wait a minute. Because they're always, and I listen. So I'm gonna call myself out.
Okay.
I was so tickled. I wanted to holler when you said, I'd be like, when folks be like, everything ain't spiritual. See, I say that, but let me explain why I say that.
Yes.
I say everything ain't spiritual, everything ain't natural. There's always a mixture. There's always an integration. Because yes, we have to do our spiritual work, but we also got to do the mundane. Now, we have to study, we have to research.
Please do.
Some things will come through oral, direct person to person. Some things will come orally if you have that gift. Some things will come feeling if you have that gift. However they need to reach you, they're going to reach you. Mm-hmm. The spirit is always working with the natural. The spirit is subject to the natural, just as the natural is subject to the spirit. So I think we lose ourselves when we try to be so holy that everything becomes spiritual and we forget about this human body, because you're still subject to it. You understand what I'm saying? We can pray all day long, but if you eat bonbons 24 boxes a day,
please don't.
You understand what I'm saying? Because we'll be out here doing dumbass shit and then be mad because they not saving us. Like, boo, kitty. It all works together, but you got
it
to
all
have
works
balance.
together.
It's got to be spiritual. It's got to be natural. And so I hate when people gaslight and they want to throw a spiritual solution on it. Yes, let's do the spiritual, but they also need some motherfucking counseling. You understand what I'm saying?
And
They
that's
need
exactly
therapy.
it.
It's balance. It's balance. You feel me?
Look,
because
please
we
go
got
get
people
help.
out there playing.
Go get help. Matter of fact, in the diaspora, we all need mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Black people specifically, we
Yes.
all need that. And it has nothing to really do with what you're dealing with today,
yes,
but the generations of trauma that your
exactly.
ancestors had to endure.
Exactly.
And so even in what you just said, right? So, and I'm not like, I understand nutrition. I even understand, like you said, first of all, you can't be in your crown chakra when you don't have anywhere to stay or no food in your body or no clothes on your back. Your root chakra's all fucked up. So how is your crown how are you gonna be, oh, I'm so high vibrated, vibrating.
Come on now.
But you don't, there's no stability.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's important. I think that what we're both saying is that it's important to understand that there's an integration.
Yes.
It's not that you are absent-minded of spirit and you're not absent-minded of the material, that you're walking the middle path. Can we all try to walk the middle path? That you're not just, holier than thou, or, spawn of Satan out here, but that like I'm walking the middle. Sometimes you might get my ratchet, and other times you might get my angel. And the way you approach whatever your energy is calling for is what you're gonna get.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because see, folks be out here fucking with stuff and then be like, oh, I need some prayer. I need somebody to do a ritual to protect me. I need to do a return and rescinder. No, bitch, you need to deal with your shit. You're literally getting the blowback from all the shit that you're doing. Like spirit is like, okay, you're gonna deal with this. So we're not gonna shield you. We're gonna move all the protection, let your ass take that whooping. And then we're gonna gather you up and get you back together and get you back on track. But you're gonna get this, because we have to understand there are consequences. A lot of people say, well, we don't believe in karma. You ain't got to believe in karma. You ain't got to. You can call that shit whatever you want to call it, but there's an equal and an opposite. There's reciprocity in all things.
Yes, universal law.
Universal. So we don't have a right to just be out here. And I used to joke all the time when I was Christian. I said, I know Satan, Lucifer, the devil, whatever people call him. I know he'd be like, I wish they would stop lying on me. He don't even do half the shit that folks say. Y'all be over there fucking with stuff and then want to blame
that
the
was
demon.
Not me that time,
okay. And I'm like, I said, it's we have to be accountable and take responsibility. And so that's what I tell people. Listen, accountability and responsibility. We have to. You can be spiritual. I want people to be spiritual. I want you to be righteous and holy and whatever it is that you want to be. But I also want you to be healthy as a human being, because there's a reason that we are here having this experience. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people, get your head out the motherfucking clouds, come back to earth, ground here, because this is where you are. So for the duration of you being here, you've got to learn how to find that balance and integrate these things together to live this life until it's done for you. You know what I'm saying? Because we get so focused, been there,
done that.
We got the cup and the t-shirt and the hat. We're trying to do right and be so holy and so spiritual that we getting our ass whooped in the physical because we're not learning. Or we're so busy trying to take care of the mundane, we're leaving ourselves exposed spiritually. It's got to be balanced. So I want to say this. I want to share a tip with people. Two things actually, and then you can weigh in and share your thoughts. One, make sure that you're building a team that comes for your best good. Because see, I messed up when I was first transitioning. I was struggling to understand how to really separate my ancestors. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, y'all can, y'all can talk to me. And some of them just was not on the same page with me. And I got to a place where I got really angry because I realized a lot of the wisdom that they were sharing was not based on my highest good. It was based on what they solely needed or what they would have done in their lives. And that doesn't always apply. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always fit or resonate or meet the need. And so I learned kind of the hard way and through some discomfort, oh yeah, all of y'all don't have a right to be on this team. So I had to get real strategic and really firm. And I tell people that now, boundaries and protection. I don't give a damn what else you're doing. Boundaries and protect all day, every day. Eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks in between. Boundaries and protection, because everything out there ain't coming for your good. Everything out there ain't working with you or for you, whether they are ancestor or not. So make sure that you're strategic in how you're cultivating that team and who you're calling in. Make sure they've done their healing work. Make sure they've been evolved and elevated and expanded. Because if they're still carrying a lot of the traumas from this physical body, it don't just die off because the body dies. So if they're still carrying a lot of that, guess what? That's informing the process of what they're leading you with and guiding you with and telling you what to do. Now, from that, the two tips I want to give. One, because I get this all the time. Well, Jasmine, how do you nurture your people? Because energy is energy, right? One, I do a regular changing of the guard. I was literally sitting at my desk and I said, y'all seem kind of tired. Like, am I just running y'all through the ringer? Like, what's going on? And they said, we need to change the guard. They gave me the visual of, over there in England with Queen Elizabeth and them, the guards that stand,
Yes.
There's a protocol that happens and there's a process that happens in order to change out the guard.
Yes.
And they literally kind of gave me that as a visual and took me through this process that they helped me create. And so I implement that regularly for my ancestral team and my angelic team. We change out the guard so that some can go rest and some are staying vigilant, The second thing, I have people ask me about altars all the time. Not my thing. I don't knock it. I ain't got no problems with it. Do what resonates for you. But a lot of people struggle with it because whether they don't have space or, whatever. And I tell them, you have to cultivate my wisdom. You have to cultivate the team that makes sense for you and that works with where you are. So I was honest when I started calling my ancestors in and started cultivating my personal angelic team. I was like, listen, I don't cook a lot. I'm not about wasting food. So I'm not just going to be making no plate and having it sitting on the table, trying to figure out who eating it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to be pouring liquor in a glass and putting it on a table. And I don't want to have this shrine because I'm alive. I don't need a shrine. You're alive with me. I'm talking to you. So help me understand what we need to do to build this relationship, because I don't want to disrespect you all. You all have earned your honor. But I also need this to work for me in a way that I can handle, that makes sense, that kind of fits into my life. And they were honest with me. We don't need all that shit. Listen, we need you. We want you to talk to us. We need your love. We need your adoration. We need you to honor us. Remember us. That was the thing. Remember us. So I talk to them. I love on them. I sit in my bed or I sit at my desk or when I'm driving down the road for long stretches and we having whole ass conversations. I know people probably think I'm on the phone. I just be talking. But that's what they needed from me. And it finally hit me, the reason I don't have to get them food, because they make me eat it. So I went through this year. Where I was like, oh my God, I need cake. Like, I wanted cake every day. Like, there's this restaurant that has a strawberry cake, and my partner would make fun of me because he's like, oh my God, every time you open your mouth, it's cake, cake, cake. I want cake. Give me some cake. Like, I just had to have this cake. And I finally realized that's how they get that taste, because it's a bloodline. It's
yes.
energy never dies. So they want strawberry cake. They put that nudge in me. You know you want some strawberry cake. Girl, you know you want some macaroni and cheese, or you know you want some rum. Go on and get that margarita, girl. Go and eat them
Mm-hmm.
for that chicken. You know what? Eat some salmon today. That's how. And so when I'm praying over my plate, I'm blessing it. You know, may you enjoy it as I enjoy it. So that's my second tip. Meet them where they are and let them meet you where you are. Because what works for one or what is necessary for one, they may need the discipline of doing that protocol, but that may not be your path. You guys, you know, hopefully that makes sense. But listen and let them guide you. Because again, I don't knock it, but I knew I was not the one, and I didn't want to be getting my butt whooped and be getting beat the hell down because I wasn't doing this and doing that and didn't. Let me be real with you where I'm at.
Yes. There was a couple things that I wanted to touch on about that. And then I have an appointment at 4. So one of the things that I feel like people should know ahead of time is the spiritual world is a lot like the airport or the train station. So you go to the airport or you go to the train station and there's all types of energies there. You're not just going with your folks. Okay. You know the folks that you're going with to travel to where you're going, but then there's all types of energies. There could be murderers, there could be killers, there could be rapists. That's the way the spiritual world is too. And so you want to be very clear about who you're talking to, who you're calling on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because if you call on the wrong energy or entity, it can be to your detriment and it can cause chaos in your life. That is true. So that's the first thing. So for me, I'm thankful because my walk began with my maternal grandmother who raised me passing. And so because she had passed, that's the only ancestor at the time that I really even cared about. Like, she's gone. I need to understand how this works. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And since then, what has happened is I have an altar. My altar has grown tremendously over time. There are people who are Christians now that will pass on or be in the midst of passing on, and I'll get the call right before they pass so that I can help them in that transition and so that I can also take care of them while they're over there. There is a time period that is suggested, which again, I am for. If you know your people, you know, your intuition is just as strong. You do what you feel. There's a time period when they pass so that they can get adjusted to the spirit realm. And for some people, one of the things that you did say, and I am one of those people that needed the discipline, but I also needed the physical. Like I needed the physical representation, just like a telephone. You know what I'm saying? I need to talk to my distant relatives in Africa or the Caribbean or whatever. That's the way I see my altar. This is my telephone. This is my physical representation of them, even though I understand that because you exist inside of me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I don't necessarily have to be here in order to have a conversation or a relationship or call on them. I can be outside. Like you said, there's been plenty of times that I've just been in the car talking to my ancestors, not nobody on the phone, but them. You know what I'm saying? Or going out.
One of them come through just then.
Oh, and they do that sometimes.
But go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, and then, you know, or I'll go outside to nature and offer, you know, fruits, you know, of course, we're talking about edible, biodegradable things, but to the earth. So, no, I don't necessarily, I teach to have an altar. And I do think that in the beginning, they are, I don't want to say necessary, but beneficial. Absolutely. In order for you to start to grow and build that relationship. Do I think that it's something that you have to do? No, not necessarily. There are places and there are people that can't resurrect altars in their houses for whatever reason, or can't burn incense or can't burn candles in their houses for whatever reason. There are people that travel. You know what I'm saying? Some people take portable altars with them. Just have a few keepsakes on them of their ancestors as they travel. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's more about intention than it is about anything. And so, like when I do cook, because I don't cook much either. When I do cook, just like you said, I'm putting that energy over my food. You know what I'm saying? And they do talk. Like 2 years ago, I had this insane craving for chitlins. Okay. I've never eaten a chitlin a day in my life. Okay. My grandmother used to make them when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So my family eats them, but not me though, because they stink.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not eating that. Do you know where they come from? But this overwhelming, like, I don't know how you can crave something you've never tasted.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that. Like, why do I want this? Salivating. I was like, okay, it's Thanksgiving. Y'all must want chitlins. Here you go. Enjoy. It lasted for like a day because, again, they stink. Even if you clean them, I don't eat pork at all. You know what I'm saying? So any kind of pork is going to make me sensitive. Okay, here you go. Enjoy while you can. I got to get this out of here. And that's that. They have ways of communicating. There's so many ways of communication. There's so many signs to decipher. There's so many things to get your attention and your awareness. But the main thing is that you are empowering them. Like, the worst thing is to be forgotten. We are all striving to leave a legacy, to be remembered. And that's what they want. They want you to call on their names and remember them.
Exactly.
Back in the day, we used to say, pour a little out for the homies. Remember?
Listen, I pour a little out now.
Ritual.
I ain't finna keep letting it sit there and just, but I go outside and pour or drink.
That was a ritual. We didn't know that young, but that was a ritual. They were pouring it out to their dead homies. Like, that's a ritual right there. And I just want to show you, like, there's things that we are doing or have been doing that we didn't know was magic. That is, you know what I'm saying?
All day. And that's why I tell people, because I actually will help a client set up a ritual. That's, we could do that. But I always teach them, listen, do this because that's what they're asking you, because that's what you need and they need together. Don't do this because you feel like you have to, or you're going to be in trouble if you don't, or because so-and-so said. Check in with your people. And I love that you said there is a time. So, and I'll end it with this. Don't force it. My grandmother passed in 2009, and it wasn't until 2017 that I started working with her. My dad passed, and like 6 weeks later, he was like, hey. And it was
I'm here.
Yeah. And it was interesting because we weren't close. We didn't talk. I had not seen him for like 9 years until I saw him on his deathbed, and we reconciled. And that was divine. I had put that prayer out into the world. Like, listen, if I never see him again, let me be at peace. But if there's a way for us to have our moment before he leaves this earth, let it be so. And they honored that. And he didn't come directly to me because he knew I went with that shit. I didn't want to be bothered. But he went to everybody around me like, hey, your daddy told me to tell you. And I'm like, and he just kept popping up and said, I got you. I couldn't be that for you in life, but I'm here now to give you what I owe you. So he shows up as one of my protectors, one of my warriors. So when I need some real ass whooping, I call him like, I'm gonna need you to come on in and handle a few things. I call on him with that warrior energy. So don't force things. That's what I want to, that's the thing I'm gonna leave you guys with. Don't force it. There are ancestors writing for you. Most of my ancestors that I work with are not in my immediate family. Them some worrisome bitches and trifling, and they ain't done their work. So I wasn't about to let their unhealed asses run my journey. I had to learn that. So most of my ancestors come from, various lines and different things, and I don't call them, they call me. They come to me and say, I need to work with you. And they have to go through some things before I let them on the team now. Cause I'm like, I ain't with this bull. You're gonna prove yourself. So don't force it, guys. Navigate and narrate this journey in ways that make sense for you and that serve your greatest and highest good and the purpose that you're here for. And Ashantola, I want you to tell us, what is the thing that you want to leave them with?
I would say follow your path, fearlessly, courageously, seek your freedom, find your power. You are perfect in your imperfections. Yours is not supposed to look like anybody else's. Your people are waiting for you. You are not alone. There's an entourage. And the beautiful thing, just like you said earlier, Jay, is that you can call on the ones that are beneficial for the task at hand. Yeah. So, yes, I enjoyed this so much. I, again, thank you for the opportunity. You are an amazing sister, okay?
Thank you, my darling. Are you?
I just enjoyed every moment of this. Okay. But thank you again. I appreciate it so much.
Yes. Well, guys, we are going to bring this to a close. I will make sure that we have their information for the school, for all the ways that you can connect with them, and the information for this audio, whether it's on the Anchor podcast or whether you're watching this video on YouTube. Make sure that you're connecting with all of us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, wherever we are in this amazing world. I love you guys, and make sure you come back and grab the next episode, and we will talk to you later.